Massive drama as a DOJ indictment alleges Tenet Media was funded by Russia as part of an election meddling campaign, and that top right-wing influencers were seemingly unwittingly paid vast amounts of cash to shill Kremlin talking points. Looks like they didn't know where the money was coming from, but the founder of the company, Lauren Chen, did. Allegedly. One clue could have been their point of contact being Konstantin Kalashnikov, who worked for the Kremlin-funded RT. Yeah, a bit of a red flag. And then one of the founders googling time in Moscow when a request for payment wasn't answered. Influencers were told the money man was some fictitious Belgian investor named Edward Georgian, who had no social media presence whatsoever. Bit dodgy. But to me, one of the most shocking aspects of Russia's alleged Tenet Media election meddling campaign was how utterly awful it was. A supposed propaganda psyop to help Trump, yet the founder Lauren Chen was telling her followers not to vote for Trump. Although the indictment lists one example where the Russians told Tenet to make a video blaming the US for a terror attack in Moscow claimed by ISIS, the vast majority of the videos had nothing to do with Russia or Ukraine. Most of them were about culture war stuff. The opinions expressed were the same kind of thing these influencers had been saying for years beforehand anyway, and they've since come out and made clear that no one told them what to say. But all this big money, all these big names, and yet in most cases, even after a year of sustained funding and promotion, their YouTube views remained in the low thousands. And the Russians themselves allegedly complained that the operation was largely a flop and the influencers were just using it to promote themselves. $10 million for that? What a waste of money. Another jaw-dropping revelation was the kind of money some of these influencers were allegedly being paid. Tim Pool, $100,000 a week for one podcast. Dave Rubin, $400,000 a month for 4 videos a week, which barely got over 1,000 views, and which consisted of him laughing at people for saying dumb things on the internet. 400 grand a month for that, and some of you lot get annoyed at me for doing ad reads. And speaking of which, this video is sponsored by InVideo AI. With InVideo AI, you can turn any content or idea into a publish-ready video instantly. Let me quickly walk you through how it's done. Just start with a simple text prompt and it creates the first rough draft for you. For example, create a video about the dangers of online censorship. Make it serious and use an authoritative American male voiceover. Use impactful and attention-grabbing examples to illustrate your points. You can then choose the audience, the look and feel of the video, and the platform on which you're planning to upload the video. Check out what InVideo AI produced in just a few minutes.
Imagine this. You wake up one day and find that your favorite social media platform has removed your latest post. Maybe it was a political opinion, a controversial article, or even a harmless meme. This might seem like an isolated incident, but it's happening more often than you think.
If you're not happy with the first variation, just click the regenerate option and generate a whole new video. You can then use the edit command box and give text-based commands to fine-tune everything. Add subtitles, change the voiceover, change the intro to make it more creative. You can then change any scene using footage from the library, or even add your own. If you want to change part of the script, you can do that too, and the video will regenerate to represent the changes. InVideo AI really puts you in the driving seat, while doing all the heavy lifting as your personal sidekick, tackling the laborious tasks of scripting, editing, and finding relevant footage so you don't have to. But if you're impressed by any of that, wait until you hear about this. Another incredible feature is that you can clone your own voice and make it narrate the video in your voice in any language. Think of the amount of time and money you'd save with that feature alone.
Cela peut sembler être un incident isolé, mais cela arrive plus souvent qu'on ne le pense.
See, now I can speak French and reach a whole new audience. You can get started with InVideo AI for free and create up to 4 free videos with a watermark. But if you're serious about video creation and want to create videos without a watermark, which I highly recommend, you should upgrade to a paid plan which starts as low as just $20 a month, giving you access to voice cloning, high quality stock footage and more. That alone would cost you hundreds of dollars if sourced individually. Just go to the link down in the description and use my code to get twice the number of video generation credits in your first month. Many people see AI as a threat to jobs, but InVideo AI exemplifies how it can actually help you level up your skills. It's obvious to me why InVideo AI is the world's most used AI video creator, with over 10 million users over 150 plus different countries. Please check it out by using the link in the description box down below. In a separate legal action, DOJ prosecutors seized 32 Russian-controlled Russia-controlled internet domains, some of which had laughably fake social media accounts mimicking CNN and the BBC, with one amassing a grand total of 7 followers. Yeah, great job, guys. If this was one of Russia's primary methods of interfering in the election to help Trump, they made a pretty terrible job of it. And remember, only Russia interferes in foreign elections. The UK, the United States and Israel would never dream of doing such a thing. Most of the influencers involved in Tenet issued statements asserting that they'd been duped, and that the FBI is actually treating them as victims in the case.
The company never disclosed to the influencers or to their millions of followers its ties to RT and the Russian government.
Which makes sense, but others have questioned their judgment for not sufficiently interrogating where these mysterious vast amounts of cash were coming from. Seb Gorka says he was approached by Tenet, but soon backed out because when he asked about the source of the funding, he was given names of people who had no internet footprint, like one Edward Gregorian, or who had zero media connections, I mean none. It just didn't add up. We have not seen an adversary attempt to influence an American election to this degree ever before, said Frank Figliuzzi, a former FBI assistant director. Really, the biggest election interference attempt ever. Dave Rubin talking about donating a testicle to a trans man. Tenet Media founders Lauren Chen and Liam Donovan were raided when the indictment dropped and had their electronic devices seized, all based on the contention that none of this was registered under FARA, the federal law that requires agents of foreign countries to register their activities. And apparently no one at Tenet Media had any idea they were even being investigated. The feds must have been working on this for quite a while, begging the question why it's all happening now, 2 months before the election, and not earlier, which would have stopped the so-called election meddling campaign in its tracks. The indictment suggests the feds knew since at least June, when the Russian handlers began posting content directly on the Tenet platform themselves. One disgruntled employee still had access to Tenet's X account though, labelling the company traitors to America. YouTube responded by deleting Tenet Media's entire channel, which some might say is understandable, but then they also wiped Lauren Chen's entire personal YouTube presence, including hundreds of videos from years before she even took the Tenet money, based on an indictment which is an allegation. No charges have been filed yet, and she hasn't even been convicted of anything, with some media reports asserting that she probably won't face any charges at all. So they can destroy your entire lifetime's work based on accusations alone. Great precedent there. A lot of us thought this whole Tenet Media thing was well dodgy when it was launched. Didn't really know who was behind it, didn't know how they got all those big names on board from the beginning, but I don't think anyone anticipated quite how dodgy it would turn out to be. Now, of course, this provides the regime and the legacy media with the perfect narrative. Trump's top MAGA influencers are all pro-Russian traitors, despite the other day Putin himself half-jokingly endorsing Kamala Harris.
If we can name a favorite candidate, it used to be Joe Biden, but now he is not participating in the election campaign, and he recommended all his allies to support Ms. Harris, so that is what we are going to do.
Expect Harris to seize on it during next week's debate. Anti-narrative commentators telling you the media lies must be Kremlin stooges. Right-wingers talking about divisive issues within the United States caused by leftism must be Kremlin stooges. People complaining about inflation under the Biden administration must be Kremlin stooges. People bemoaning the negative consequences of mass immigration must be Kremlin stooges.
We have all seen it for several years. There are people who are deliberately, or knowingly, or unknowingly promoting Russian propaganda.
The entire Russian collusion narrative is back in a big way. Feels like 2016 all over again. Suffice to say, I'll keep talking about all of those issues. Not because I'm being bankrolled by Vladimir Putin, but because they're true. If you value what I do and you want to help support me, please visit pauljosephwatson.locals.com and either pledge a one-time donation or subscribe to join my community, get early access videos, and message me directly. And exclusive live streams coming soon too. Promise. Check out the Locals link down in the description. And don't forget to take a look at the brand new website modernity.news. That's where you'll find all my content, including exclusive articles. That's modernity.news.